All right, if you're looking for some of Denver's most trendy neighborhoods, we got everything you need to know right here in this video. Let's go. Guys, we're gonna kick it off in RiNo today. Now, the neighborhood of RiNo is not named after the animal or Republicans in name only. This is actually named after the River North District. That is just a river that runs just to the west of the neighborhood. You got sweeping views of the Rockies here. RiNo is a neighborhood that's right in the heart of downtown. You're bordering 5 Points. You can walk to lower downtown, walk to your Rockies game. There's a lot of historic, urban, and even kind of like an industrial feel to this neighborhood. All right, guys, so the RiNo district is definitely going to attract a very artistic type of crowd, very eclectic vibe to it, very walkable. You got a lot of bars and restaurants all within walking distance. You have a lot of historical buildings that have been converted into apartment style or condo style loft living. You got breweries around every corner, and like I say, jazz clubs, everything you want if you're into the arts. Now, median home prices around here are going to be about $625,000, and a lot of what you're going to find is condo style living. There are some single families available, but by and large, most of the people that live in this district are looking for like condo style, apartment style, urban loft, industrial chic type of living. So some things that people really like about living down here is the unique factor and the proximity to downtown, because you have just walking distance to like Coors Field to catch a Rockies game or maybe a Nuggets game. Very, like I said, artistic scene. Walking down the street, there's just tons of art. Now, in my opinion, it's more graffiti that's kind of taken over, and they decided, hey, let's just let the graffiti artists have at it. Some of them are very, very talented. It looks very cool and chic, but definitely was probably not the first choice when they determined that this was going to be the art district. So those are some of the pros. The cons to list area are it's definitely going to be a lot noisier than some of your other neighborhoods. Higher cost of living just because you're paying a lot for condo style living. Going to be similar to the places in lower downtown. You're paying a lot for the location. You got public transportation, but you're going to be in a pretty noisy area, not only just from all the hustle and bustle that happens on a day-to-day basis, but you also have proximity to all these bars and restaurants and live music. So it's definitely going to be a little bit louder of an environment if you do choose to live in the RiNo district. Another thing that I've noticed is it's going to feel a little bit dirtier and a little bit older than some of the other neighborhoods around Denver. And a lot of that is because of location. You are close to lower downtown. You are going to be dealing with a little bit more homelessness, but you're also going to have like these scooters. I don't know if you can see them behind me, but it's really cool to ride those scooters and hang around in the downtown area, but then people just leave them on the side of the road and it kind of dirties up the place. So RiNo, definitely eclectic, definitely unique. Let's go take a look at our next neighborhood, 5 Points. All right, guys, we've moved over to the 5 Points neighborhood, and this is one of Denver's most historic neighborhoods, and I'll say it, notorious neighborhoods. For a long time, it's been plagued as one of Denver's highest crime neighborhoods, but it's gone through a lot of revitalization and gentrification over the last few years, which has resulted in higher home prices. So this neighborhood is just to the east of the RiNo neighborhood where we were just at. That had more of the artistic vibe to it. A lot of art/graffiti everywhere. So if you're into the art scene and you're looking for something that's a much cheaper option, like than say the Cherry Hills area, RiNo could be a good option for you. But this area of 5 Points, I am actually standing in one of the only parks in this area. So while it does have some pros of being very close proximity to Denver, again, it's walking distance to all the things downtown like Rockies games, Performing Arts Center, different bars and restaurants. And it also has a lot of historical businesses that are still in operation today. So heavy African-American influence through this neighborhood, and the history of it was once nicknamed the Harlem of the West, so it has a very big jazz scene here as well. But median home prices for the 5 Points neighborhood are going to be right around $575. And like I said, there has been a lot of revitalization and newer homes going in, but there's still a lot of homes here that have a lot of historic charm to it as well and still give off that historic Denver vibe. So this neighborhood did actually make it onto another one of my the top 5 worst neighborhoods in Denver, as ranked by the Denver Police Department crime statistics. So as always, you got to do your own research on all of those things. I will say some of the negatives to this are you are paying a higher price point for an area that is not ranked as high in the safety rankings and crime rankings, but it does have a lot of things that are turning for it, and I can see property values going even higher here as they come in and clean up some of the areas that are less than desirable. While I've been out here, they do have a significant homeless problem. The parts that are a little bit further on the south end of the neighborhood that are close to that downtown Denver area, where you're into the Lodo area, where you do see all the great big buildings and everything. And there is going to be a lot of foot traffic over here. So it is a noisier neighborhood overall. You're probably comparable to the RiNo neighborhood, but some of the other ones that we're going to check out today are going to be significantly quieter, maybe more of a suburban feel. You're still going to have the city influence, but these are the two that are closest, trendiest, right in the heart of downtown. And like I mentioned, one of the other downsides to this neighborhood is there's not a lot of green space. So I'm in one of the only parks in this area. There is, sidewalks throughout all of the neighborhoods. But if you're looking for something with a little bit more outdoor living, a little bit more active lifestyle, RiNo definitely has more trails accessible to it. 5 Points, your really urban environment, not a lot of green space, not a lot of park space. All right, guys, we've moved on to the neighborhood of Capitol Hill. Now, this neighborhood is just inside the heart of Denver, just to the west of kind of that lower downtown area where you see all the big buildings. So still residential, but right in the heart of everything. Now, this neighborhood attracts a lot of young professionals, a lot of people that want to be inside the city, but still find something that's a little bit more affordable housing versus some of the other neighborhoods that we've looked at. So median home price is going to be right around $550, but there's a lot of condo and apartment style options that are actually going to be quite a bit cheaper than that. So some of the unique things about this neighborhood are the proximity to walkable things like cafes and restaurants. Everything is very nearby. It's very walkable neighborhood. Now, a downside of this, and you could probably hear it a little bit, is it's a noisier neighborhood with crowded streets. So in the other neighborhoods that we were in, I didn't have any trouble finding parking to stop and get out and show you guys some of the neighborhoods. Here it is a little bit tighter. The streets are a little bit more narrow. Parking can be a little bit bigger of a challenge here, and there's not as many alleyways and places where you can park your vehicle like there is in, say, Washington Park or Belcaro, where they have garages built into the alleyways. But this is also one of Denver's historic neighborhoods, so you're going to find a lot of the historic charm, a lot of Tudor style, Denver bungalow style homes, some Victorian style homes, and even a few colonials interspersed as well. So a big variety in the style of homes. You also have the large Denver mansions that are in this neighborhood, as well as some of the other adjoining neighborhoods. Now in Capitol Hill, it's been a little bit more common to break up these large scale mansion style homes into separate condo living quarters. So you may have 3 different floors in that traditional mansion, and they've put a kitchen and dining and bathrooms on each of the different floors and really divided it into 3 different sections. Now this is the first of the neighborhoods that's been so walkable that everything you need is right within walking distance, including like grocery stores. The other ones have nice walkability for cafes and restaurants, but this one really has everything that you really could possibly need, probably within a 5 to 10 minute walk of anywhere that you live in Capitol Hill. So there's actually a lot of pluses to this neighborhood that I like versus the first two. One, it's a little bit more affordable than those first 2 neighborhoods. You do have more affordable options as well. Definitely a little bit more walkable. I personally am a suburb guy, so I like it definitely a lot quieter. But Capitol Hill does have a lot of good things going for it in the terms of a historical neighborhood, a lot of charm, and a little bit higher on the safety rankings compared to those first 2 neighborhoods. We'll just stay off the street named Colfax in here. That's probably not the best way to go. As a former cop, sets off my spidey sense. And a fun fact, it's also home to the governor's mansion, where the governor of Colorado lives. Of course, it's named after the state capital, which is right here in the heart of Denver with a golden dome. Another little inside tip here, if you're trying to navigate through the downtown area and trying to get around down here, look for the one-way streets. They're a lot quicker and easier to get from north to south or east to west, and generally they have a few less traffic lights, or there's less stop and go traffic on those versus some of the other streets. So if you're traveling through Denver and you're on the main thoroughfare like Colfax going through, jump down to 13th or 14th if you got to go east or west, because you can actually get across the city a lot quicker than you can sitting in the traffic on those main thoroughfares. All right, guys, so Capitol Hill, definitely more of an urban vibe. You're just steps away from like the Capitol building, a bunch of other things that are downtown. If you do work downtown, that can be a good option for you. Something a little bit more affordable, but you know, you're 5 minutes kind of from everything in that heart of Denver. For our next neighborhood, we're going to the one that is probably the trending the most, and that is the Highlands. All right, guys, we've moved over to the Highlands neighborhood. Now, this is just on the west side of I-25. You go across the river where the RiNo district was, and you're going to find a lot more historic charm over here. Now, this neighborhood is definitely going to attract young professionals, young families, has a little bit more of a suburban vibe to it the further west you go. It is still very walkable. You have a lot of things to do around here as far as shopping and unique dining at bars and different options. You also got great views from a lot of those restaurants through the Denver skyline as well as the mountain area. So in these neighborhoods, you're going to find a lot of very mature landscaping, 100-year-old homes, 75-year-old homes, a lot of Victorian influence in a lot of the design and architecture, just a lot of history, it feels like, in this neighborhood. It's not going to be quite as walkable as, say, on the place like Capitol Hill or, you know, the 5 Points or RiNo neighborhoods that we were in. When you're talking about getting to downtown, you are probably 5 to 10 minute drive into lower downtown area. So if you want to be really in the action, that's where you're going to want to be. But if you want something that's a little bit quieter, you're not going to have quite the noise level in this neighborhood that you're going to have in the others, this is a great option. Now, in this neighborhood, you're also going to find a lot more single family options versus the condo and townhomes. And median price point for the Highlands is right now right around 800. Most of the homes that you're going to find are going to be between 8 and 950. There are some condo and townhome options available at 700, 750 range, but it is definitely a higher price point than most of the other neighborhoods that we've seen. So there are a lot of really unique home options over here in the West Highlands area. So there is a ton of historic charm, especially in this West Highlands neighborhood. Also is one of the more historic neighborhoods of Denver. Used to have a kind of a bad reputation of being a lot higher crime rates, but it has really turned itself around. It's a very hip, very eclectic kind of vibe. Not the same like art style vibe or kind of gentrification that you would find in the 5 Points area or the RiNo district. There is some of that obviously in the Highlands with some of the new construction happening and some of the homes being scraped, but there's a lot of historic Victorian style homes. They're going to probably be, you know, 2,000 square feet, but they're going to be a lot smaller rooms and tighter living quarters than some of the newer construction that you're looking at in other suburbs around Denver. So definitely a trade-off here. If you're looking for something that has a lot of historic charm, yes, you're going to have to put up with a lot more maintenance, deal with things that are 50 or 75 years old, unless you get into one of these neighborhoods where they've scraped and rebuilt a new house on top of the existing lot. But definitely a cool, very professional style vibe to this neighborhood, as well as more family friendly than the other ones. Not to say that you couldn't have a family in the other ones, but those neighborhoods definitely attract more of a young professionals vibe, singles vibe, more of the Highlands. And the next neighborhood we're going to look at are far more family friendly and definitely a little bit quieter and slower pace of life. Okay, you guys, in our last stop of trending neighborhoods, we're hitting the neighborhood of Sloan's Lake. We've just got to Sloan's Lake Park, and you can see that beautiful, expansive lake right behind me. And this neighborhood is absolutely beautiful. You're going to have a lot of blend between new and old. It is, you know, not quite as historic as, say, the Highlands or some of the other neighborhoods that we've toured. And there are a lot of new construction homes that have been put into this neighborhood. Not to say that they're new construction developments, but a lot more scrapes and homes that have been built up by the lake that almost have more of a beach style feel to them, because it is very rare to find an actual waterfront property in Colorado. We're just not a state that has a whole lot of lakes, so this is a pretty unique one. And Sloan's Lake definitely has a higher price point as well. So if you're looking to get into this neighborhood, you know, plan on spending, if you're looking for something on the lake, probably over $1 million. But most of the homes over here are going to be between $850,000 and $900,000. Now, I will put this as the #1 neighborhood of trending neighborhoods that you should definitely check out when thinking of a move to Denver, because one, it's still very walkable. You have a lot of a little bit more unique dining and shopping experience options that are close by. You can still have a very walkable area, but you also have this expansive park, and you're very close to the mountains too. You can see just over the lake, especially when we put the drone up and you guys can see it. You got front range views of the mountain range. So very beautiful, picturesque place to live. Not to say that you can't exercise in some of those other areas that we were in. Actually, when I was out filming them this morning, we saw a lot of people out jogging on these city streets, but you're dodging cars, you're stepping over sleeping bags, you're have a lot of stuff to contend with. Whereas if you just live here and you have this beautiful park around you, you can just walk out your front door, hit a 5K easy in the morning. So definitely a good option for outdoor enthusiasts. And a lot of families choose this neighborhood over the others because it has a little bit more of a suburban feel. While you do have a lot of the options for local dining, restaurants, cafes, and shopping, you also have a suburban feel of your big box stores are starting to pop up over here. You're getting more into the suburbs across the lake, and just a few blocks away you get into the towns of like Arvada and Wheat Ridge. So you definitely have a little bit more of a community, smaller town feel as you move out from that urban area of Denver. All right, guys, let me know which one of these neighborhoods stood out to you the most and which one you would like more information about. Do you guys like these vlog style videos where I'm actually in the neighborhoods and the parks and showing you guys exactly what it's like to live, work, and play in Denver? Also, when you're thinking of your move here, make sure you hit me up. Call, text, or email. I got your back on all things Denver real estate and all the suburbs beyond. If Denver is not quite the right fit for you, we got a ton of other options available for you just outside that could be the perfect fit for you and your family. So don't forget to reach out, like and subscribe to the video, and we'll see you guys on the next one.